All right. Hello, everyone. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. I think we're working on Instagram. So if you're on YouTube and Facebook, welcome. This is The Healing Brain. Uh, Today, I am hosting. I'm joined here by Morgan Doman. I'm so
Hi,
glad that
everyone.
you're here. So those of you who join us regularly will know that Spencer is traveling. He and our team are in New Zealand right now. It's very early in the morning, so I'm sure they're all asleep, which is good. We have a beautiful situation going on in New Zealand right now with a wonderful sponsor. They've connected us with many families. They do a very different kind of experience for those families, very communal. But all of the kids, of course, are getting evaluations and programs. So we'll have an update on that when Spencer comes back, I'm sure. So today, Morgan and I are here to talk a little bit about oh, hi, Virginia. Virginia is one of our regulars. I'm so glad that you're here. We are here to talk about the ways that the Doman Method supports parents. So I thought that Morgan would really be the best guest to have because she is the organizer and director of our Doman Method Parent Support Group, which is open to families who are currently on our program. I feel too that this session is sort of an extension of that, a bit of a precursor to that group, because we are here on a weekly basis sharing information to hopefully empower parents in their journey to finding answers for their kids. And really, that's what the Doman Method is about at its very core. So I wanted to start a little with a, I warned Morgan ahead of time. I said I had a bit of a screed to share. I've been reading a lot lately and thinking a lot lately as a mother of a now 21-year-old daughter about how parents are supported and also how they are dissuaded from trusting their gut when it comes to their own children. Um, every parent on the planet who has their kid with is the world's leading expert in that child or those children. And it does not matter how many letters someone has after their name, how many years they've been working with children. They will still, and how caring they are. We have our staff, obviously, are tremendously caring people, true experts in what they do in the Doman Method. It is such a unique approach to child development that our experts are experts, but all of them recognize that the parents we work with are the experts in their own children. And as a mom, I see that parents are more and more told, sometimes overtly, sometimes subtly, not to trust themselves. And I think that this is extremely destructive to the parent child relationship, to the parent's individual empowerment, and certainly to the potential of their kids, because parents are at their core the ones who can find the right answers for their children. But I think that there are far too many messages out there telling parents, find other people, trust it. Now, nobody says you can't get help. Get help for sure. Get answers, but run those answers through your own filter, through your own gut. If you're starting to find that a treatment that you thought was going to be the answer for your kid isn't yielding the results you had hoped, trust your gut. Say, hey, maybe this isn't the right thing after all. I've really had high hopes, but I'm not seeing results, or I'm not liking the way it's actually turning out. What I heard isn't the reality. So, get out there and find something else, because the truth is, and we've all heard this again and again, that the days are long, but the years are short. And it really is true. I remember being in those trenches when my daughter was very small and the days felt so long, and you're in the business of keeping them well and keeping them fed, and and of course, if your child has special needs, you've been plunged into this world. In many cases, you've been plunged into this world with no warning, because so many of the families I talk to didn't know that their child had any kind of challenge before they were born. Sometimes it came up afterwards. Sometimes it was an after they were born diagnosis. And then suddenly you're in this unfamiliar world and you start to think, maybe I don't know what's best for my kid. Maybe I need the doctors and the therapists and everything to lead me. But the fact is, those doctors, those therapists, at the end of the day, are not the ones who are there for your child. They again might have lots of helpful information. They might be very caring people, but your child is your child, and you have to feel confident in making yourself the number one advocate for your kid. You are the superhero, like it or not. But I think we do all like it once we realize that that's what is the truth. That nobody else is coming to save us. It's up to us to find the answers for our kid. That's great. I mean, we love them more than anybody in the world, and so we can do miraculous things for them. So, as we're talking about the ways that we support parents on the Doman Method program, please know that we are here to advocate for you learning and finding the right answers for your child and getting the support that you need, but ultimately you are the one in the driver's seat. And that will always be true. And you can do it. So that's what I wanted to say is before we launch into, how the Doman Method Parent Support Group can help you, how the Doman Method in general can help you and your family. But we really are all about that, empowering parents, giving you the information you need to get you to the next step for your kid and take through your whole life, because that's what you do. Parenting, believe me, it's hard to believe that my daughter's 21, but she still needs me. Not at all as much as she did when she was little, but she does. And I need my parents. I mean, we need, I was just talking to my morning and, getting helpful insight about the situation. And it's if we're lucky, we have that for a long time. So after all that, and Nancy is here too. Hi, Nancy. I don't know if you can see the comments, Morgan.
I can. Yeah. Hi,
Okay.
everyone.
All
I didn't
right.
want to.
Oh, and I have been told that we are now live on Instagram. Welcome everyone on Instagram. Yay. I'm so
Hi,
happy. Sorry that we had a little bit of a delay at the beginning, but we are talking today about the Doman Parent Support Group specifically, which is a feature that we offer for families who are on our program, but also just how the Doman Method supports parents in their journey toward helping their kids.
Yeah, and you put that so elegantly, and I think one of the things that really defines a Doman parent is that, and we hear this all the time, they really take responsibility. They don't want to wait to be given the answer. They go and find it. Most of our mothers, tell us stories of how they were like up until 2 a.m. one day researching until they found us. And I think that really like is such a great example of how they go, okay, this doctor doesn't have an answer for us. We're going to find someone else who does. And they don't really stay too long, listening to people who just tell them negative things. They go, okay, I got what you're saying, but let's go find a solution. And I think that that's kind of what defines them and what gives them the like decision to find us, but B, like just they love the Doman Method because they get the tools. They don't have to bring their child to PT, OT, they're not the child's chauffeur. They're their child's, coach and therapist and person who's going to, give the child what they need. And I think that's just such a great part of doing this work, and I one of my secret questions I ask all my parents when something's going wrong is, what is your gut saying is happening here? Because sometimes a parent too will go, honestly, I think my kid's fine. They're just kind of sick. And I'm like, okay, your gut's probably right. Or sometimes you have a mom who goes, no, something's really wrong. And then, okay, let's go to the doctor. Let's get some lab work done, whatever. And either way, moms and dads are almost always right. And even when they're not right, they kind of were right.
Mhm.
They just weren't listening to their gut. They kind of knew.
Yeah.
So it's really our job just to bring out that intuition and help them find answers based on what their intuition is saying. So yeah, it's so empowering, I think. I think everyone, it's so much easier to get the tools and be in control of what's happening with your child versus feeling out of control.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to a podcast recently, and they were talking about staying in tune with your child, and how everything in the world really, and Glenn used to say this too,
Mhm.
that the world is trying to pull parents and kids apart, and not even for nefarious reasons, just, oh, hey, parents, you could be so much more effective over here doing this, and your kid can be at nursery or whatever. I'm not saying that kids can't go to nursery, and I'm not saying that you can't have jobs, and we all have our roles, but it doesn't take away the fact that your child is your child, and your gut really does have a better instinct about your kid than anything else. And I
Mhm.
think that it's more about resisting the idea that someone else, um, again, no matter how caring, no matter how much time they spend with your child, could in any way be more of an expert in your kid than you. If you
Yeah.
sit and think, okay, what is my gut telling me about my kid? I really think that most parents will come up with the right answer,
Yeah.
and that your instinct, we are animals, and
Mhm.
our instincts are very strong if we allow ourselves to listen to them, if we don't talk ourselves out of it.
Yeah, and I think, um, yeah, parents, mothers' intuition is so powerful, and I've really never met a mom who got it wrong. It's a powerful thing, and I think it kind of the reason why we wanted to start the Doman Parish Support Group and really get more involved with supporting parents is because the health of the parent directly correlates to the health of the child, in the sense that your nervous systems are connected, especially if your child's not yet 6. If you are full of anxiety, your child's going to feel that. And that's not to like add on the guilt, okay? To the moms who are listening, that's not the point, but the point is we need to always address mom and make sure and dad and make sure she's healthy and she's doing well and she's thriving, because then her child will as well. If a mom is burnt out, if she's depressed or full of anxiety or just not herself, she's not going to be able to show up for her family in the way that she wants to. This isn't about us. This is about how she wants to show up. And I think for me, it's so important to take a step back and always go, okay, how are you? And I had a mother the other day who paused the program for a few weeks. And she said, I had to start a program for myself to start walking again and to change my diet because I was getting very sick and burnt
Mm.
out. And she was guilt ridden about pausing the program. And I said to her, I'm so proud of you. This is exactly what you had to do. This is going, your child is going to get further now because you're healthy, right? Like the kid is you're only going to be able to push so much if you are burnt out. But now that you're healthy again and you're feeling good and you're on the road to recovery, you're going to be able to support your child so much more. Not just doing the program, but just in life, you'll be so much more present. I think, so I think that's a big thing for us as well. We just see, we just see the results when mom and dad are healthy and doing well. Yeah.
Do you think that I've had this thought before. Do you feel like sometimes the parents who are attracted to the Doman Method, um, are also the kind of parent who sort of has to learn how to prioritize things in their own life, and start saying no to
Mhm.
things that are not adding to
Yeah.
their life and their kids' life.
Yeah, I think, the world doesn't like this at all, but and will fight you on it. But I think that one of the hardest parts about being a parent of a child with special needs is you just have to put a lot of boundaries and say, this is this is what we're doing,
Mhm.
and we can't do everything. We can't make everyone happy. I'm and I think I'm learning this. I'm planning my wedding, and I'm learning this. I
Yes.
can't make everyone happy, I wish I could, but I can't. And I think that it's kind of this ultimate step of, putting down your people-pleasing way and saying to yourself, "What's best for my child?" "What's best for our family?" You know? And that looks different. Some families, it's we're moving in with grandparents, so we have some financial relief. It may mean, you just stop all the other therapies and really just put your efforts into one thing at a time. But I would totally agree with you that you know you just can't do what's not working. It's just, who's got time? You have a kid who needs help, and if it's not working, stop. Just stop. There's just no point in wasting time on it.
Yes. Yes. I couldn't agree more. Hi, Annabella. Annabella's here with us too.
Hi.
We're getting all our old favorites. That's great. Thank you for checking in. You reminding me of so we years ago we had a mom. We're still friends with her. Um, a mother of 7 children, and the youngest three got a program. The older ones, the family didn't know about the program before. Um, and there were some challenges in there for their kids too. And I remember this mom talking about now 7 kids, and of course, the older ones were older, but um, people used to ask her, "How do you find time for yourself? How do you and your husband find time to spend together?" And she was still is a very practical woman. And she said, "Well, we would sometimes," she said, "my husband and I will go out grocery shopping together
Mhm.
once a week. Like we'll get a babysitter and go out." It's not always about the fancy dinner or anything, especially if money is tight. It's
Mhm.
well, but we have to buy food,
Yeah.
and we can go out together. We can get a coffee and then walk around the grocery store without the kids and just have a bit of a chat. And it sounds funny, but it can be a nice little break in the week. Um, I think she also said that uh, her husband made sure that she had time each week to
Mhm.
even just have a cup of tea and stare at the wall if that's what she
Yeah.
wanted to do. you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's just such a beautiful example of just finding those moments of connection
Yes.
and, sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes an hour, maybe a whole date night once in a while, but it's I think too, though, sometimes people underestimate how powerful it is to just simply have a purpose together as well.
Yes.
We're a family, we do this program, we're seeing results and really committing to something. That alone can cause a lot of connection. And then, on top of that, you create a little bit of time, carve out a little time every once in a while to see each other. It's just so, so powerful. And yeah, I I really feel deeply that, you know, the hope is that this program will bring the family together. And
Mhm.
that includes improving marriages
Yes.
and partnerships. That includes getting you closer to your kids. You know, I think dads also find a lot of, even if they're like out of the house working all day, they also find a lot of pride in doing the program on the weekends or, coming home and helping out at the end, just when, the kid's really tired and doesn't want to finish. I think all of that is just so powerful. And um, yeah, it's really cool to see that when it happens.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that that's where where we can also help to provide some perspective sometimes, because of all of the years of experience. I mean, your family's situation is your own, but our team does have a lot of experience with many, many, many families over the years. I mean, Rosalind, Morgan's mother, who is our clinical director, has been doing this work for
Yeah.
50 years
I think
almost.
so, almost.
Getting
Yeah.
close, yeah. So, in terms, and of course she is, has been married for how many years now are your parents married?
Oh, 40 something.
Over 40, yeah, I mean,
I
well
should
over 40,
know. I should know. Like 35 or something.
something like that.
Yeah.
So, that kind of perspective is tremendously valuable, and colors everything that all of us do, because we are also checking in with Rosalind about, we've got this situation or that, and what would you propose? Um, but again, going back to that core of what's best for my family. And, when you and your spouse can hopefully be on the same page about that, and then it doesn't matter what anybody else says.
Mhm.
These are your children. And, and even if, I mean, how many times, Morgan, has it come up where maybe a family called us up and said, hey, we're really struggling with this part of the program and we're feeling like we need to do these things, but not this thing right now. And our staff say, well, of course, if that's the right thing for you, then that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think, like, every family is a different season of life. There's different medical situations a lot of kids are facing, and I think that's one of the things is we are flexible, and I think a big part of the Doman method is being flexible. Of course, we have our strong values and that doesn't waver, but we also want to make sure that we're meeting every family where they're at. And that's also why we ask questions like, how many hours do you have for a program? Because, yeah, some families have all day and can do 6 hours, but a lot of families can't. They could do 2 hours, 3 hours. And hey, we're happy to design a 3-hour program or a 1-hour program, because at the end of the day, that's what matters, is that your child's getting better and we're seeing results and the needle is moving,
Yes.
and this is a really tough journey. Having a child with special needs is like not an easy situation, no matter, what the issue is. And I think that being said, you need to be at the top of your game. You need to be physically as well as you can be, mentally as well as you can be. And that means, taking care of yourself and your mental health and yeah.
It's so
So
true. Yeah. And I know that, sustained effort is key
mhm.
for success, in anything, though. I mean, think about it. We don't just brush our teeth once a month, and think, oh, well, once a month really, really well is good. It's a little bit every day, every day, every day. But because of that need for consistency, it's also very important that you make things practical and
Mhm.
manageable. And I think for most of our families too, they find that if they can be flexible and say, okay, so every day I'm going to try to do this, and over time I find, oh, I have a little more
Mhm.
bandwidth, to increase. But also on the days when we maybe don't get as much accomplished as we'd hoped, I know that all is not lost,
Yeah.
because our kids are always growing and we're helping them to move in the right direction. And that's just true of parenting. I mean, it's funny, all of these platitudes that I was told when my daughter was little, they feel so much more true now that she's, a young adult.
Mhm.
The days are long, but the years are short. It's a marathon, not a
Mhm.
race. That is
And that's
so
such an
key.
I just wanna say too about that analogy, it's a marathon, not a race. It's I cannot tell you how important it is to realize that, it's never too late to start. It's also never too late to restart. We have families all the time that go, we need to take 6 months off. We have this issue happening. Mom's burnt out, whatever, but you're always welcome back. And I think, there's this idea that we have to do it every 6 months perfectly. And it's like, no, that's not what we need to do. What we need to do is do what's best for your family in this moment. And then you come back when the time is right. And it's so important to really internalize that, it's okay.
Yes.
It's a marathon, and I think parenthood is a marathon.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
is.
really, really
Yep.
is.
Yeah, it's when I was talking to my father this morning, he said, "Well, I always worry about my kids and my grandkids." We were talking about something, and I said, "Wow," because my father has 6 children
Mhm.
and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grandchildren.
Mhm.
My
Yeah,
2 youngest brothers don't have kids yet, so
yeah.
presumably that will be more grandchildren
Mhm.
eventually. Um, but and he said it's not like I lie awake at night
Yeah.
worrying about you kids now. I mean, I'm 50. I hope he doesn't. That would be terrible. Um, but in a way, it's a realization that you never stop thinking
Mhm.
about your child. And of course, for a parent whose kid has big challenges,
Mhm.
it is something that can keep you awake at night
Sure.
if you don't feel like you have a plan and are moving in the right direction. I see Virginia has commented here that caregivers sometimes get weary and opt to send their children to boarding schools, of which some don't even support the children in the right way. You're so right, Virginia. And
Mhm.
um, this was really what Glenn initially said, warehousing, because that used to be much more common in the United
Yeah.
States, that if your child had issues, you were told, find a nice uh, place for them, a nice institution, and get them enrolled, and then they can just live there with other children like them and grow up in that way. And it's I mean, obviously today that's not as common at all, but it is a
It
reality for a lot of
Yeah.
people that yeah.
I think, like, the boarding school aspect of it, like, sleeping away from your family isn't common, but I still think there's can be that underlying thing of just find a good school and just, like, put the kid there from 8 o'clock to 5 and
Yes.
don't worry about it. I
Yes.
think there is that underlying, like, message, but it's, like, in a different way now.
Yes.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
and here I am again, folks, speaking as a mother whose child is now in college, and she's working towards her own stuff, and a and generally neurotypical kid,
mhm.
um, but also a pandemic kid. That was a whole thing,
Yeah,
because the schools here in Philadelphia shut down for nearly 2 years, so she
yeah,
was at home for a long time, and that's definitely caused some issues
yeah,
for her and her friends. Um, the schools are not looking out for your child's best
mhm,
interests in any way, shape, or form. That's not their
mhm,
role. So there's no use in getting annoyed with them or unhappy with them.
mhm,
And the very best school for kids with special needs is not thinking about your kids long term in the same way that you are. And
mhm,
again, might be a great school, might be wonderful, caring, professional teachers who are absolutely doing their best. That's great. And if you need your child to be in that school for, financial circumstances or
mhm.
whatever, okay. But at the same time, you must, as a parent, arm yourself with the information, like the knowledge of your child's development
Mhm.
and how to best influence it in the time that you do have with them, because
Absolutely.
ultimately school will end
Mhm.
and you'll have your kid back with you, and then it will be a moment of, well, now what? And if you have this, if all along you've had the information, you've had the understanding of your child's development to be able to support them at home, you will find that your kid is further along and is better equipped
Mhm.
to do other things. They can be trained for a job, they can start to have some more independence, and you'll know that you had that,
Mhm.
that knowledge and that empowerment in your family, along with the school time. But
Mhm.
if it's left all the way up to the schools, they're not there to accomplish that
Yeah.
goal, the same goal that you have for your kid, which is a measure of independence, if not full independence. I mean, full independence is our goal,
Mhm.
and I think for every parent, but at the very least, you do want your child to be prepared for something later on.
Mhm.
And the school really is only concerned with the here and now.
Yeah. I saw a reel this morning from a teacher of an elementary school, and he was like, "I have to remind parents all the time, like, it's not my job to know if your kid needs glasses." And he's like, "If I see a kid squinting and I'll write it in their chart, like, I'll write it in the notes, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to give every kid, he's like, "I have 30 kids in my classroom, and eye exam, because I'm not I'm not an eye doctor." And he's like, "It's not my job."
Mm.
And I thought that's like, at first I was like, I guess he's right. It's like not his job. But then there's the other part of me that's like, wow, really, dude? Like if the
Yeah.
kids squint. And but I think it's a good example of even teachers who are amazing. Like I don't know how teachers. I work with kids all day long, but I don't know how teachers do it. They're saints. Having 30 8-year-olds in a classroom is like mind-boggling. But I think, at the same time, they're looking out for their class, right? They can't meet every child's individual needs. That's why people are pushing all the time for assistance and things like this, because like it's literally impossible. And so you could have the best, sweetest, most wonderful teacher in the world, but at the end of the day, they have to look at their class as a whole, and that's their job. So seriously, kudos to teachers. But it's important, I think, also to just not. I think it's we want to think that the school system is going to come to our rescue or the medical system is going to come. And I'm telling you right now, nothing. Systems are not coming to your rescue. Unfortunately, I wish they were, but they're just not.
No, that's true.
Yeah. There's this wonderful comment here. Can you feature it?
I don't think I can.
Okay.
Sorry, Spencer can do that when he's. I'm not the
Okay.
manager of this, but are you looking at the Philborg?
Yeah.
Yes. So Ella
Oh, you never
is,
did.
and yes, yep, and coming to see us in Italy in July. Very
Yay! Oh,
exciting!
that's
Yay! So yes, she has commented here, thank you. We do need support, especially when the people around you, including professionals, have such low expectations for your child.
yep.
I feel like I am my Down syndrome baby's lawyer or manager.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
The expectations can be so low. It's like kind of disturbing. Um, and I feel that, sometimes I think parents are a little shocked. Like one of the most common, I think, things that shocks parents is we teach little kids how to read,
Mhm.
even if they're diagnosed with Down syndrome or autism or cerebral palsy. It doesn't really matter to us. We teach every child how to read as long as they can see. And parents are like, I don't understand. It's, she's 2.5 and her biggest problem in life is movement. Why are you teaching her to read? Because every kid's got to learn to read. How's this kid going to go to school if they can't read? And, but I think for a lot of parents, it's like, whoa, the expectation here is that this child's going to go to school or this child's going to live, a life that they need to learn to read. And I mean, there's other reasons we teach kids to read. It's great for speech. It's great for understanding. It's great for improving vision, and of course, just exposing your child to so much outside of their four walls. But I know that one really shocks parents. They're like, really? It's a baby, They're like, yeah, of course. Babies need to learn to read too. Yeah.
And meantime, parents are being told by, again, experts in the field,
Yeah.
supposed experts in the field, wonderful, caring individuals, not saying for a moment that they're not, but they are limited in their scope and their understanding of what is possible.
Mhm.
And their job, as they see it, is to prepare parents for sort of the worst case
Mhm.
scenario.
Yeah.
But I think parents, by nature, have to be optimists.
Yeah.
You don't have a baby if you're not an optimist.
Hmm.
You know, you don't have kids if you don't believe in potential. Um, because if you just thought everything was going to heck, you wouldn't have kids. You know?
Exactly.
So you
Exactly.
have a kid and you think, well, this is, a beautiful thing. I'm going to teach my child. I'm going to, my child's going to grow beautifully. You find out your kid has got some challenges, and naturally your instinct is, let's find the best answers. There's got to be something else. I think that's the other thing that surprises a lot of parents when they are given a diagnosis and start down the path of trying to find answers or accessing the services that are typical, is to learn that there aren't a lot of answers, or
Mhm.
that the answers are very cookie cutter. This is what we do for a child with Down syndrome. And a parent says, well, what about my kid? I don't believe that my kid will never talk or walk, or that it's, sometimes parents, especially with kids with Down syndrome, parents are often told, oh, well, there's a spectrum of ability and you just don't know what you're going to get. And we're going to try and, we'll support you with PT, OT, speech, all of the typical things. And parents say, but there's got to be more, right? I mean, it's 2026.
Mhm.
Don't we have more answers than this? Only to be told, well, we do our best. And it's all about making those expectations low.
Mhm.
And parents, I think, in their gut they're very resistant to that. They're like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not going to make my expectations low, because then my kid will only ever,
Meet them.
yeah, meet them. Exactly.
Yeah.
So and you're absolutely right, though, Ella, that you are your child's lawyer, manager, advocate,
Yeah.
everything.
And
Um,
I think too, going back to feeling like you're your child's lawyer and manager and everything, it is rough, to have people say, even in front of a child, like, "Oh, this kid's never going to do X, Y, and Z." And for us at Doman, we just really refute that, like, all the time. We just feel like constantly we're like, because sometimes we get very rare genetic disorders. Obviously, that's not the case with Down syndrome, but like really rare. There's like 8 kids in the world with it and stuff. And they'll say, oh, none of the kids with this diagnosis have ever learned to walk. And we're like, we don't care. Because that's not our, we're going to have the expectation that your child's going to walk, and we're going to do everything we can to meet that expectation. Of course, it's good to know genetic, for other reasons, metabolic reasons, all that kind of thing. And from a purely health point of view, it's good to know. But at the same time, we can't let that limit us. And I think for, the genetic diagnoses have skyrocketed just because of the technology in the last like 10 years. Even the last 5 years, it's like, just completely blown the charts, right? With how many kids come in with different genetic diagnoses. But I think the most important thing is never to use that as a limit. That's never going to be the limit for your child. It's good to know. It's information that may help your child, but at the end of the day, don't let it limit your kid. It's just not worth it. And I think, um, we just, yeah, we don't like that at all. We
no.
never listen, like, especially if we hear things like, oh, the child won't live past a certain age. We just go, no, that's not in you know, our wheelhouse. We just have a kid to get well. That's the most important thing.
Yes, exactly right. I sometimes feel like parents whose kids are given certain very rare diagnoses, very severe diagnoses, are almost encouraged to enter a perpetual state of mourning.
Yes. Hmm. Hmm.
Like, oh, it's okay. It's almost like, oh, it's okay if you're devastated. Of course you're devastated. No parent wants to be given a diagnosis that's severe and so rare that nobody knows what to do about it. Nobody wants that. That's not reality. But it's also realistic of a parent to say, I am not accepting this sentence from you.
Hmm.
And you're not, people will say, well, you're burying your head in the sand. You have to accept, I accept that my child has a specific genetic condition. yes, you've shown me the tests, it's real, it's happening. However, I will not accept limitations placed on my child by just some, because you don't know. What they're saying to you when they say we don't know is they don't know.
Yeah.
Not we don't know, which means everything will be terrible forever and ever, amen. It means you don't know. So
Mhm.
why not try options that can support you, support your child, give everybody in the family a sense of purpose to rally around, and yeah, and not just put on the sackcloth and ashes. Why
Yeah.
would you do that to a little baby, or a little kid and just say, I mean, every child that is neurotypical, it seems as if they develop independently,
Mhm.
but they really don't.
Yeah, they really, really don't.
Yeah, and so
And
you could just as easily say of a neurotypical kid, "Well, I don't know if they're ever going to learn to walk or read." People just assume, "Oh, of course they'll learn to walk. Of course they'll learn to read." But it's not by accident. None of it's by accident.
it's and actually, I feel like we're seeing this on a huge scale right now with this next generation because children who are addicted to screens, they're not developing on time. And
Yes.
it's not because they have necessarily a injury to the brain like a lot of other kids do who would be considered, neurodivergent, although I hate that term for all other reasons. Um, uh, like they are not getting what they need to develop, and so they're behind,
Yes.
right? And so it's clear as day that children who don't have anything holding them back in terms of their brain still need certain things to actually develop. They need adults talking to them. They need to not be on screens. They need to run around. These are natural, developmental things that are just absolutely necessary.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
I was talking to my daughter the other day about neuroplasticity, and
Yeah.
I said, "You can." Because she was saying that she's realized that she struggles to focus if she sits down to read, and she
Mhm.
said, "I really need to get back to read." She loves to read.
Mhm.
She said, "I really need to get back to reading books." She
Mhm.
said, "I read a lot of stuff
Yeah.
throughout the day, but I don't really sit down and read books." And she's an art and design major. She doesn't have a literature course this semester, and nor I think she had a writing course last semester, but it was a writing course, not a
Yeah.
literature course. And so we were talking about that. And I said, modern society, the way it's, and I'm not poo-pooing the internet, and I'm not, being a fuddy-duddy. I mean, heck, I love the internet. It's
Mhm.
fabulous. It's great. It's so tremendous. And it's brought so many families to us who would never have known about it, before. So it really is a wonderful thing, but it's easy and it's so quick and there that it can devolve you,
Mhm.
in a lot of ways. And I said to her, this is just something that happens if you're not aware of it, that you are sort of getting yourself out of the habit
Mhm.
of sitting and reading in a sustained way. But the
Yeah.
good news is you can get yourself back into
Mhm.
that habit. You can do it. So it's just really a matter of setting yourself some time every day to sit down and read, 5-10 minutes. That's
Yeah.
it. Just a little bit, a little bit. And over time, you'll find that you're spending longer and it's come back.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible. And for anybody, it's not impossible. Um,
Absolutely.
I see here that Annabella mentioned my daughter progressed 10 times more overall in less than 2 years with the at home Doman program than she achieved at school and with traditional therapies in 4 years. That is amazing,
Yeah.
Annabella. I'm so happy to
Mhm.
hear that. We're thrilled. That's fabulous.
That's
And then
that
Virginia has mentioned, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I can't say I'm surprised because Annabella, I know her and she's just such a straight shooter and like let's do this and is so positive and wonderful and does a great program with her daughter. Um, you know, we just gave you the knowledge and she went home and did the work.
Yeah.
So the miracle is all hers. I one of my favorite things, like literally my favorite things. I get to do this every so often, but when a family gets a seeing victory, so the child couldn't see and now the child's seeing, and so I get to teach the reading program. And like that is the coolest thing to be like, do you know like you made a miracle happen? Like the world thinks this is a miracle, but you did it in, at home diligently, consistently over the last, 6 months, year, 2 years, whatever it took. And that is always for me like the greatest thing when you get
Yes.
to do that next level.
Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
true. So, so true. I remember, I'm not sure how many people watching right now have read How to Teach Your Baby to Read.
Mm,
Uh, if you haven't read it, I really recommend it because it's a book that's so full of the joy of connecting with your child, teaching them, and it's a book that was written for everybody. It
mhm,
doesn't matter if your child has special needs or not. It applies to all people everywhere.
it's
Um,
really easy to read too. My
it
grandfather
is.
who wrote it just it's like you can read it like this,
Yeah.
I think he wrote it in 2 weeks or something crazy, but it's not for professionals. It's for common folk,
Yes. Yes.
So
Totally.
it's really
Yeah,
great.
it's very conversational. You can
Yeah,
really hear how much he loves the subject
yeah,
and how much he respects parents and children,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so it's definitely a worthwhile read if you haven't read it. But he says in that book, because people sometimes get hung up about the how. How do we teach them to read? And we want a method, and we want and of course we have a method, and we have
Mhm.
materials that we recommend, and all of that because you do need something. You need a framework for sure. But his point in the at the end of the book is when he says the magic is not in the cardboard or the markers or any of that. That's not what this is about. The magic is in the child, and that's every single child.
Mhm.
So that connection between parents and kids, that's where the magic is.
Mhm.
So yeah, you
Couldn't agree more.
yeah.
Right.
So that's why all of our parents can do miracles with
Mm,
their children because that magic is there for you. And I
abs
see Virginia here has mentioned, believe that there is nothing impossible with God, have a
Mhm.
burning desire, and mix it with faith, do therapy, do the right diet, and God will surely show up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Having faith in that ability and that potential, um, is what gets everybody where they need to be.
Yeah.
Virginia also said, my son started talking one word at 5 years. I have done all that is required. I'm not giving up. I believe he will overcome autism. Caregivers don't give up.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I know, and Virginia has not worked directly with our team. I mean, she comes to the session regularly, has the books, has the lectures, and is doing a tremendous job. And it's not easy, but that trust
Mhm.
in yourself and your child is what is key. And just, yeah, never giving up. Parents don't give up on their kids. We never, ever, ever do. And that was what Glenn identified, I think, in the beginning too, was, hey, the, the family never gives up.
Mhm.
So that's why you have to center everything on what the family can do at home, because that's where you're going to see real results for kids, and long-term improvement for sure.
Yeah, and I also think about what he always said about siblings, which was, "Don't take this away from them. Let
Yes.
them be part of the journey too." Because, like, no one can mess with a kid who's, been supporting their sibling, and making them stronger. Ultimately, you're giving them a great gift of being
Yes.
a part of something bigger than themselves. And also, you're giving them the gift too of the better quality of life you can give their sibling who has special needs, the easier their life will be long term because they will be the ones taking care of their sibling. And I'm sure they'll do it with love and grace. But still, the better off their sibling is, the better off they are going to be. Even if that doesn't mean the child's totally well in adulthood or they don't need support, it still is such a great gift.
Absolutely. And when you've set up that dynamic, that relationship,
Yeah.
that really is forever. That
Mhm.
they they recognize that they can make a difference
Yeah.
with their sibling and have a real relationship, not
Yeah.
just that. A couple of parents recently, I've heard from, who I had registered previously and have been doing their
Mhm.
program, and have been remarking on how much more engaged their
Mhm.
other kids are now with their hurt child, because their program gives them options to interact with them in a more meaningful way. Also, their child is becoming more communicative,
Mhm.
whether that's verbally or with their choice board or whatever it is. It gives the siblings a a point of connection
Mhm.
that is so powerful and so
Yes.
important.
So, so powerful.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they otherwise it's sort of it's like, oh, they're cute, they're a mascot, we got to be careful and take care of them. And it's like, of course, but they're also a person, and
Mhm.
your other children, when you think about if you have siblings yourself, how
Mhm.
you relate to your siblings as an adult, and then extrapolate that into your kids' eventual relationship. And it's so much better to have them set up with a connection that is based in communication and knowledge of each other, and not just, like, it sounds terrible, but I'm sure, I know that in some families, the child with special needs is um, almost like a pet, like a mascot, like, oh, very cute and fun and all of that, but not really given respect in that way.
Mhm.
And that's really hard. It's hard for the the young person with special needs. It's hard for the siblings. So
Mhm.
much better to have them all, like, more on the same page, like
Yeah.
we're part of a team. That's
Yeah.
I think that that's got to be a recipe for success
Yeah.
long term.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to, we've got just a couple of minutes left, and I wanted to mention, because we did have some pre-submitted questions,
Mm.
and so for those families, a few of them I know them, so I'm going to get in touch with you
Mhm.
uh, personally. We do have one question from Dr. Garg about whether this therapy would work for a child who is fed with a peg.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
The answer is yes. Our staff have a lot of experience with PEGs, doing the physical program with them. Also, the nutrition team, is very well versed in it, has no issues adapting things for a PEG. If it's your goal and it's possible to get the child off the peg, we can also support that, along with feeding therapy. So it's yes, absolutely. Don't let external things like that get in your way. We've pretty much seen it all,
Mhm.
especially our senior staff have actually seen it all.
Yes.
So they will always know what to do, and we'll always make adjustments for any child with any sort of peg, G tube, even trachs. We have children with trachs, and we make different adjustments for them. But those kids even need it the most. We got to get a lot of oxygen to their brain and get them healthy.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Get, reiterating the theme of our session today, which is parents, trust your gut and
Hmm.
we will support you.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
if you're listening to what we were saying, if you're joining us for the first time and you're thinking, what is this Doman method? Get in touch with me directly. You can message us on any of our social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. All of those comments and direct messages come to me directly. You can also email me at info, at domaninternational.org. You can also message me. It's country code 1-814-232-8668. When Spencer's with us, he puts it on the screen, but I don't know how. Sorry about that. But if you're feeling like some of this stuff that we've been saying sounds, fabulous, Les, thank you so much.
Mhm.
We have Les in the background hearing these things. Thank you, thank you. Um, if you're listening to it and thinking, well, gosh, this sounds too good to be true. Can it really be
Mhm.
true? Uh, it's it is true. um, and of course, we cannot guarantee any results for any child, only because every single kid is an individual. But the fact is, as Morgan said, our team over these years have seen pretty much everything.
Mm.
Um, Now, that doesn't mean we don't continue to learn, because we do. We have tremendously talented staff, all very, open-minded, wanting to learn all the time. Every child is teaching us all the time, every family. But what that means is that we are creative problem solvers. We
Mhm.
are not looking at your child saying, "Oh, we've never seen this before." We say, "Oh, we've never seen this before.
Mhm.
Let's figure out, but what's the root? What can we do about it? How can we apply what we already know
Yeah.
to try to get the right answers for your kid?" So in that way, what sounds, if people say this sounds too good to be true, or why haven't I heard about it before? Well, did you have a special needs kid before?
Mhm.
That's probably why you've never heard of it before. Um, but also, it's not too good to be true. It is true, but sit with it and you know see what your gut tells you. Does your child have potential? Because if you believe that your child has potential, it isn't a pie in the sky thing. Our method is very grounded in realistic steps. It's very systematic, and it's organized and customized to every kid and every family. So it's not just a, oh yeah, we feel like this will be great. It's
Mhm.
not. It's it's very hard nosed, but we also feel like it'll be great because it is, and we feel
Yeah.
like there's potential because we know there's potential because we've seen it again and again. So that can be your kid too. It is your kid too. All
Yeah.
right. So if your gut is telling you that this is something that could be interesting or useful for your family, don't let anybody talk you out of it. Just get right in touch with us and make your own decision about it, based on what's going to work for you and your kid. All right. And we'll be here to support you in that. All right. With that, Morgan, do you have any other comments to end off?
I don't think so, except I hope I get to meet every single one of you at your appointment, in the near future, and, keep up the great work to all the parents listening who are currently doing the program. I see you. I hope I see you in the Doman Parent Support Group on a regular basis. I have the honor of getting to run it, and, we meet every week, to talk about different topics: motivation, success, emotional issues, breakdowns, health, which is a big, concern of mine, for the mothers. So we talk about it all. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's an amazing resource. So that's one of the things that you can access if you do take an appointment with our staff. And it's a tremendous support system for everybody, because we really are interested in results for your kid and for you, and that it's just a long-term happy set of circumstances for your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All
All right.
right.
Well, Morgan, thank you
Having me.
so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. I could not appreciate it more. It's been wonderful. And thanks everybody for joining us. We
Yes.
will be back next week, one more week without Spencer in the Healing Brain.
Mhm.
But we'll have a good conversation again next week, and we'll look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.